not close enough if you're too close. So I know that we're not able to message our message about 25 feet back to everybody, and not everyone is going to hear our message, and we truly try to be patient with people. But there are times when people place a GoPro or a camera or their cell phone in the track, and I will stop and I will pick that up, because we do not allow that. We discourage to the extent we can control that. This is America. We can't tell people what to do, but we can tell you to not put things on the Union Pacific property. If we witness a GoPro, a camera, or a cell phone, we will stop if it's within our abilities. And this trip, I've stopped for 6 cameras. We've given them all back to their rightful owners, and we've had a nice friendly conversation, and we spend a few moments with the individual, and we just help get them on our side so they can understand. How cool is it to have a video of a locomotive coming over you? I admit that. That's a neat thing to watch. But what they don't understand is there's so many other people that are going to want to get that type of footage. They're want to copycat. Possibly a younger person or others, and you're just going to put yourself in harm's way, and we do not accept that, we do not tolerate it. And if we see your camera, we're going to stop and get it. Well, thank you for that. Did I answer your question for you?
We have one more. This is the final question. We will be back this afternoon at 2 p.m. to do this do-over with another Q&A session with Ed Dickinson. Here is the final question for today.
Hello, thank you for coming. My question is a little bit technical. When you restored the steam engine on this, I'm guessing there's almost miles of boiler tube inside of the engine. I want to know if you used the old boiler tubes, or if you had to replace all of the boiler tubes, and if you had to maybe upgrade the materials that were used for the boiler tubes in the boiler. And is there 2 boilers there?
This is that Q&A question. I'm going to come back for 2 o'clock for that.
We replaced so much of that boiler. The actual tubes and flues that you refer to on this locomotive have been replaced over its lifetime probably close to 24 times. So it's a consumable part of the locomotive, and they were not suitable for continued service. The material that we put in there is what's required by regulation. It's a very good heavy-walled boiler tube. The other part of this, I'm going to answer the first part, and then give it over to Austin and Ted and the guys, because they did the hard work. But we had to replace all of the steam, air, and water piping. Not all of it, but a good part of it. And when you look at the locomotive, when you have it disassembled and all its component parts and pieces, the only way that you can really get the job done is to have the right tools. So we invested in some really good pipe benders, along with the full set of dies and rollers and everything we needed to make that happen. And so I'm going to hand the microphone to Austin, and he's going to kind of talk you through what he did, because he did the lion's share of all of the piping on the front engine and making this thing really... Oh, I guess Austin took off. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll talk for him, and then I'll have Ted talk about it too. So this locomotive, if you take the jacket off of it, there's just lots of all the various piping, everything from the air line that runs the bell. There's a pipe where the cable runs for the whistle. You've got all the high pressure piping, what we call power piping. That's the piping that conveys the water that's being delivered to the boiler. That has to be delivered over boiler pressure. And then of course you have the steam delivery lines back on the turret, which is above the cab. So that operates all the air pumps and the steam operated appliances. We made all that stuff brand new. And that's the only way to do any kind of steam locomotive restoration. A steam locomotive uses water. Water's corrosive to steel and iron. And over time, you're going to have lots of pitting and lots of corrosion. So if you're going to do it, it's got to be done disassembled from the beginning. And Kurt, would you just kind of talk just a little bit about your piece of that?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of piping, and we didn't leave very much of it. I think 95% of it is new. Anywhere from new tubes and flues to every air pipe that goes and runs all the brakes, superheater units. There's just we were bringing in truckloads and truckloads and truckloads and truckloads of pipe. So, and all of it had to be bent, threaded, fitted, welded. You had blueprints. You had to, and Austin, he did step away, but there was a lot of really critical bends to fit all of those air pipes in the frame, because they have to fit them through the front engine and then the rear engine, so it all goes together with Barco fittings. And it was there was days that he was definitely pulling his hair out.
Yeah, and then any of the steam lines, they have to be a full penetration weld, so it requires a root with fillers, and yeah, a lot of hard work, and especially if you got to weld a pipe in position, in place, you get in some really weird angles because you have to be able to see the weld as you're welding. So, yeah.
Well, that's it's always difficult when somebody just puts a microphone in your face. But you guys, that I can't stress enough how much hard work went into the locomotive and the detail. And the thing about a locomotive of this size, it's 2 locomotives on 1 boiler, and we can't just take it apart to fix something that's leaking. So it has to be installed as perfect as we can make it, because to get to it is very complicated. If we had an issue with the main reservoir pipe or any of those air pipes in the front engine, the only way to get to them is to jack the locomotive up and take the front engine out. Well, that's a big job to solve the problem of a leak. So as you put it together, you plan and you think about making it solid. So we did make numerous modifications to a lot of that so we can avoid all of the threaded connections or anything that could eventually result in a leak years from now. And that was based on experiences that we've had with the other locomotives. Well, I'm going to kind of wrap up here. I wanted to just recognize my father. Ed Dickens Sr. is here. And he's the guy that, like all of us in life, Jimmy Thompson's parents, Kurt's parents, Austin Barker, Ted's, Paul's, John's, all of our parents play a role in the things in our life. And my father has played a big role in mine, not only in inspiring me to be a steam locomotive person by taking me down to see the 8444 in the 1970s when I was a little kid. Did you ever see the movie Last of the Giants? That documentary where the guy's holding the kid and the kid's fighting to get away? That was my dad. And I was terrified of the 844. And he also gave me a real appreciation for tools. My dad had a great set of tools at home. And that's really, I think, what started me on my destiny with tools and equipment. And I'm very thankful for that, Dad, and thankful for all that you've done and all the hard work you put into bringing us up and showing us all the cool things. And it's a tribute to all the moms and dads that have your kids down here today, that you're doing something that they're going to remember probably for a long time, perhaps their whole life. So it's a great experience for us. It's a real great experience. We've enjoyed every day of it. They've been long, hard days. But this is such a privilege for us to be able to be involved in this type of project. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that people who like equipment like this would ever have the ability and the resources to do it the way that we wanted to. It's a tribute and a testament to the Union Pacific for standing behind us and providing those resources and there's no other way to say it, that they made it happen, because without them giving us the equipment and the tools and then staying out of our way, they let us do everything. They never nickel and dimed us. They never say, Ed, we want you to do this, we want you to do that. They didn't do any of that. They gave us full autonomy for this project, and the end result is that we were able to deliver the locomotive that you see right here. So with that, my final close is to thank all of our colleagues here in Denver and all the various service units along the way. Railroading is a really difficult job. It's a 24/7 world, and railroading never sleeps and railroading never stops. So for them to take time out of their busy schedules and help us come into their facilities and give us the support they did, is very heartwarming to us. We've made a lot of new friends along the way, and we look forward to seeing all of them again. So we look forward to seeing everybody along the way here. And on behalf of the great crew, the STEAM crew, we thank everybody for coming down. Please stay hydrated, take care of each other, take your time getting your photographs, and be good to one another out there. And we thank everybody for coming down to see us.
Can I have you guys kind of gather up a little bit this way? How about a little bit this way so I've got a good background?